Are you sure you want to go through with this, sir? You do have a very full wardrobe as it is.
Yes, but not completely full. For you see,
Some men hunt for sport, others hunt for food. The only thing I'm hunting for is an outfit that looks good. See my vest. Welcome to Drinks on the House. My name is Zach Kowalski. And you can tell I'm fucking pumped. With me, as always, he's the pride of Pinckney, Kevin Alice.
What he failed to mention on that intro is that I'm also hungover. But here we are, and here I am.
Oh, boy.
Joining us, as always, my other co-host, the glue that holds this whole thing together, Andrew Hamill.
Hi, guys. How are you today?
You're doing well. That's good.
Wondiferous.
Hey, thanks.
All those quotes are going to rain from the sky during this episode.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Kevin. You want to get us started? And
our first segment, as always, is Our Week in Nerd. Anyone want to start us out?
I can go first. I really only have one thing this week. I guess actually I got two. I watched a couple music documentaries. The first one was the new Beatles documentary that they put up on Hulu, 8 days a week, directed by Ron Howard, and it kind of talks about the touring period of the Beatles' career. Really interesting. A lot of awesome live footage featuring the Beatles. I know if anyone's seen like the anthology films, stuff like that, goes a little bit more in depth into specific eras, but it's a nice little treat for fans in kind of in a little compact hour and a half, as opposed to the anthology series, which is a bit more lengthy. And then also I watched a documentary on the DC hardcore band, Bad Brains, called Band in DC. Which is just a real interesting documentary that kind of traces their whole history, kind of their time in the DC hardcore scene, and then moving to New York, and then kind of their increase in popularity and change in style when they all discovered Rastafarianism. And then also talks about kind of their reunion in the late 2000s. Really interesting for anyone that's kind of into punk or hardcore music, and also has a lot of interesting interviews with guys like Ian MacKaye from Fugazi and Minor Threat, and Henry Rollins from Black Flag. So highly recommend those two.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Ruddles? That's as far as Beatles movies go. Actually, I've seen Hard Day's Night. That's a good one.
Yeah.
They're both just kind of comedy, so.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Help before? Did you see that? Or
I have seen Help, yeah.
yeah.
They're interesting little time capsules. Help is particularly funny, realizing that none of those guys wanted to be there, and they spent a significant portion of that time like super stoned during the filming of that movie. and they talk about it in 8 days a week, that apparently they were trying to like hide their money from being taxed by the British government, so they were finding places to kind of stash it throughout the world, and one of the places was the Bahamas. So they actually had them write a scene into Help that they could go to the Bahamas and then be able to deal with financial stuff at the same time.
That's amazing.
Wow.
And that's my week in nerd.
Cool. Nice.
Let's go next.
I will go next. I have had the privilege of playing Watch Dogs 2 this week, and it is the first open world game that I have played in the last probably 6 years, maybe 6+ that I have actually enjoyed.
Really?
Yeah, it's been phenomenal. I think it's the last time I checked the reviews, they were rocking like an 87 on Metacritic, which is pretty good. Just everything you can do to interact with the environment, with the hacking and everything, it's just so it's so cool how you can interact with it. Like you can explode sewer pipes to stop the cops from chasing you. You can you can use people's cell phones against them, all kinds of stuff. And it's just been super fun to do. It's you can run and gun in it, but it's much better to not run and gun. Unlike GTA, which is basically like you're a one-man army.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to do that in this game. You can. You absolutely can. But it ends up being a lot better for you if you don't.
That's what I'm saying. From the trailers, it seems like it was very much a GTA clone with a little bit of hacking.
Mm-hmm. Well,
But-
it's not a little bit of hacking.
That's good, though.
Yeah.
It's something to distinguish it.
Right. It is a lot of bit of hacking. There's only one way to describe that. What else have I watched this week? I finished a TV show. I finally caught up on it. The Scream TV series. And don't let the fact that it's run by MTV turn you off. Let's start there. Because it's actually a really, really good show. They do very well with it. And Scream itself was always a very meta, like it always knew what it was. And poked fun at it being a horror movie. And I think the TV show does it a lot of justice on that front. And I would recommend anyone watch it. It's very good.
Cool.
Nice.
That's basically what I've done this week, other than Call of Duty
Very cool.
Zombies, which I don't have much to describe
Well,
other than you shoot
Yeah,
zombies.
well, I mean, it's zombies.
Yeah. I'm still playing World at War Zombies all the time, so
Smart.
that's just a given. Yeah. I guess I can go. So I picked up Pokemon Moon finally. That's a cool one. It's more of the same. It's just Pokemon. Yep.
Why change? Why fix what isn't broken?
Pretty much. The only thing I can really gather that's different from the other ones is that it seems like, well, I guess if you've played X and Y, that was based in an area sort of close to Paris, and it seems like the main character in this like came straight from that game and is in a Hawaiian setting, and he just looks really, really out of place. But yeah, I haven't really played it too much, but it's cool so far. I picked up a new record, Cecilia and the Sauerkrauts. I don't really know much about this band other than they came around in 2008. They're German. I happened to overhear it at Fantagraphics over in Georgetown, Washington, doing a cover of a Misfit song, and I thought it was really cool, so I picked it up.
Do you mind if I ask which Misfit song that?
I believe it was I Turned Into a Martian.
Nice.
Yeah. We only heard the melody, and we had to kind of take another listen, and we're like, okay, yeah, that's definitely Misfits. And yeah, I thought it was really cool. I like a lot of like foreign music that's like either from the 60s or like kind of punk influenced, and so I like to pick stuff up like that once in a while. Since I could never find anything that I really, really want on my vinyl list, I just thought it was a cool oddity. And I also picked up the third volume of Hip Hop Family Tree, which is also put out by Fantagraphics here in Seattle. And it's basically like a weekly comic that this guy, Ed Pisker, does online. And they publish them in a few trades. And the fourth one just came out. I definitely recommend it to anyone who's even remotely interested in hip hop or really loves it. It chronicles the beginning and uprising of and influences of hip hop, including the then burgeoning like punk rock scene and graffiti, like an artist scene. It was a really good like panel with Deborah Harry and Basquiat talking art and rap and punk on the same sort of line of dialogue. That's really cool. And the one that I picked up right now, that one chronicles 1983 to 1984, and so it's like the rise of Def Jam Records, most notably Fat Boys and Slick Rick, Beastie Boys, and where Rick Rubin meets Russell Simmons. And the art and the humor is really, really good, plus just a really good historical read. And oh yeah, it also covers the movie Breakin', which everyone needs to see, regardless if you like hip hop or not.
Excuse me. Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, well, that's the fucking quintessential sequel. Anyways, that's been my weekend nerd.
All right. For my weekend nerd, I picked a very appropriate podcast recommendation for the episode we're doing today. You should all go listen to The Simpsons show. It's two guys who are chronologically going through every single Simpsons episode from the beginning. They just did Two Bad Neighbors, which is personally my favorite episode.
It's a great episode. I know which one you're talking about.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. George Bush.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
No, doesn't it end with George Bush being attacked by locusts?
It
the
does
end?
indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great one.
So that's a great podcast if you're into The Simpsons at all. Yeah, like I said, they're going from the beginning. I think they're on Two Bad Neighbors isn't season 7 or 8. I can't remember. They're about 126 episodes in.
Wow.
So yeah, a lot of back catalog to go listen to, and they rank and review every episode at the end of their episode.
Very
So
cool.
yeah, it's a really cool podcast.
It's awesome.
Part of my Monday routine.
I bet they're gonna listen to this and just laugh and be like, yeah, whatever.
Actually, funny story. When we first started the podcast, before you joined, Josh, the guys from there were actually the guys that recommended like programs and recording styles.
Oh, cool. So they kind of
actually-
helped you out.
Yeah, they helped us out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. Friendly guys.
Good, because I was gonna call them out and be like, Simpsons posers.
No, they're legit.
Okay. Good. Thought we were gonna have to scrap. Thought we're gonna rumble in the alley.
Go West Side
Yep.
Story on him.
The other thing I picked up was a new graphic novel called Black Hole by Charles Burns. Yeah, it's very surreal artwork. The guy at the store recommended to not be eating while I read it. So
Yeah,
you could probably speak a little bit more to it because you've read it before.
it's been a while, but it's basically set in Seattle, Washington in the 70s, and there's like a series of murders and like weird things going on, and they all kind of revolve around STDs, but it's like the kind of disease that mutates you, and it's really odd.
Yeah, gets real grotesque.
Yeah, that's why we're when we're at the comic shop, we're just like, yeah, don't like eat in and look at this comic. It's gross. It's very scary and surreal, like Zach said though.
I'm only 10 pages into it
Yeah.
so far, but yeah, I'm loving it and loving the artwork. It's kind of got a weird, like disgusting, but somehow erotic kind of theme going through it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. Definitely recommend picking it up.
Nice. Feel like I will end up checking that out, and then also the book on the history of hip hop. Those both seem right up my alley in particular.
Oh, you definitely love both those.
Yeah.
All right, on to our main topic. So a few weeks ago, The Simpsons got renewed through their 30th season, which will make them the longest-running primetime series and animated series in history. We thought it'd be kind of fun to do another history of episode, this time focused on our favorite animated family, The Simpsons. The Simpsons.
Great.
Cue couch
All
gag. Josh, animate it. Edit in a couch gag.
I'm just gonna edit in a couch.
Please do.
Yep, that's the couch gag. Just the couch.
Just the couch.
Yep,
Just
the
a
tip of the couch.
So now
It's
everyone
stunning.
knows The Simpsons, regardless if you've stopped watching during the golden years or you've stayed watching it through all 26 seasons like I have. Everyone loves The Simpsons. But before we really get into the show and its legacy and all the classic quotes in our favorite episodes, thought it'd be good to learn more about the man behind the show, Matt Groening. Born in Portland, Oregon in 1954, he attended Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington, a liberal arts school, which he described as, quote, a hippie college with no grades, no required classes, that attracted every weirdo in the Northwest.
Yep, my roommate's ex goes there. She's fucking crazy. She
Yeah.
doesn't do anything.
Sounds about right.
First-hand confirmation.
So you can kind of see where Matt's building that kind of absurdist view on life. So after college, he moved to LA and did a series of, quote, lousy jobs while trying to make it as a writer. He eventually landed a weekly strip in Wet magazine with a strip called Life in Hell in 1978. And I don't know if you've ever seen any of the Life in Hell strips.
I don't remember the character from it, but it's that bunny character, right?
Yeah, it's the bunny characters.
Yeah, that character appears in the Simpsons arcade game.
A lot, yeah.
And I always kind of wondered who the hell that was, and then I kind of
Yep.
found out about it a couple of years ago.
So that's the legacy of it, yeah.
Yep.
And basically, he started the strip based on his time in LA and just the frustrations he had of trying to break into Hollywood. So in 1985, his strips caught the eye of James L. Brooks, a Hollywood producer famous for The Mary Tyler Moore Show and Taxi, who was interested in working with Matt. So Brooks wanted to use Matt Groening's Life in Hell characters as bumpers, the little things in between sketches,
Yep.
on the new Tracy Ullman show. This is where we get the most famous Matt Groening story about his meeting with James L. Brooks. So Matt really wanted to protect his Life in Hell characters. He didn't want to lose them. So literally 15 minutes before he went into his his meeting, he sketched out a quick sketch of a family based on his own family. So he has an overweight father named Homer, which he actually does. A loving mother named Marge. Two sisters named Lisa and Maggie. Maggie being the baby, of course. And for himself, he made the character of Bart, which is basically an anagram for brat.
Got it.
Yeah.
That is insane that he created possibly the most influential cartoon in 15 minutes prior to a meeting.
Right. And he just sketched it out super rough, basically on the idea that he could fix it later. But that never happened. The sketches he basically wrote on a fucking cocktail napkin. Those are the ones that went into production.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those early Tracy Ullman bits were the animation was quite rough too.
Oh, they're horrible.
Yeah, they're-
I mean, you
they're
can
not
definitely
great.
see the skeleton of what became The Simpsons,
yeah,
but it's real rough.
yeah.
So the shorts eventually became so popular that they got offered their own show on the new fledgling Fox network. So Groening and James L. Brooks teamed with writer Sam Simon, who hired his own writers that he knew from Harvard, including Conan O'Brien and eventual showrunners Joe Colan and Josh Weinstein, who were the showrunners through what most people consider the real golden era of The Simpsons. And really, the rest, as I say, is history. The show became a monster hit, huge moneymaker. Initially focusing on Bart, and he was the main merchandising machine. I'm sure we've all owned some piece of, Bartman or, some piece of fucking, trash merchandise.
Oh yeah.
And the show continues to be one of Fox's most popular shows. And as we said, got renewed for its 30th season a couple weeks ago.
God damn.
So that's just a quick little history.
What I have this question: what was considered the golden age of The Simpsons by people? Because I've watched a lot of The Simpsons.
Or I think it's season 2 through season 9.
Yeah, I'm definitely right there with you.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Some will throw in season 10, but that's when they got a new executive producer. And from then on, it's pretty much the new era. And I think the HD era started around season 15 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should have been around 15.
Wasn't that around the time of the movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I noticed a huge change like around the movie, and yeah.
And this is kind of a rare theory, but I kind of blame the movie on the show's lack of quality, especially in those middle seasons. I think they're really focused on that movie, and they kind of let the show slip into the background for a while.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I could see that.
I thought the movie was really good. I laughed
It was.
a lot.
It was very good.
Yeah.
I thought the movie was incredible. I went. I rarely do this, but I went to the theater twice to see it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed that. Generally, I probably wouldn't go to movie theater to see some sort of like filmed iteration of like a series like that, but definitely went into it with not super high expectations, just because sometimes, even though it is just kind of like one extended Simpsons episode, sometimes you're just not sure if they're going to be able to pull it off somehow, and I came out thoroughly impressed and having enjoyed myself too. So
it was a very good movie. It had a lot of quotable lines in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Do you guys kind of want to get into like our lives as Simpsons fans, like when you started watching, or maybe when you dropped off?
Yeah. Give our own background.
Yeah, our background.
I think I own, based on what you were saying earlier, I own almost the entirety of the golden era of The Simpsons on DVD. I have watched it since I was probably around 10, for different reasons. Because when I was 10, it was aired right after Digimon, which I watched, and then
was that on UPN?
Actually, no, it was Digimon, huh?
Was that on UPN?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The 5 o'clock or the 6 o'clock hour block of Simpsons.
4 o'clock was Digimon. 4:30 was Monster Rancher. 5 o'clock was The Simpsons. And then Friends was on after it. Another show that I watched simply because of circumstance. And I ended up really enjoying that one too. But yeah, I started watching The Simpsons very young, and just never really let it go until a couple of years ago. Not because I didn't want to watch it, but just because I was doing so many other things, and it just kind of dropped off of my watch list because I was just watching so many other things. But yeah, I'd say I have seen just about all of the episodes up till, I'd say, right after the HD era started. So I watched like the first season of that and maybe half of the next one, and then the other ones are just like bits and pieces here and there.
Sure. Not an uncommon, way of watching, I feel, for most fans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of my background with The Simpsons.
Yeah, I got into it at a pretty early age too. I had an uncle who was my uncle and my dad who kind of had a really what I would consider a great sense of humor, but a lot would consider weird sense of humor, and they kind of exposed me to a lot of weird shit when I was really young, including The Simpsons. I've probably been watching it since before I was like conscious of the fact that I was actually watching it and absorbing it. But I think that kind of being exposed to The Simpsons and Seinfeld at a really young age really kind of uh, gave me a really unique perspective on what I found was funny. Um, I and just kind of seeing the influence that those two shows have had and kind of different ways on things that I ended up loving, not necessarily catching that there was that influence, like shows like Arrested Development. I know I've heard the creator Mitchell Hurwitz talk about how one of his main influences was The Simpsons, and just I never really realized it until hearing someone say it, and immediately you can kind of once someone says that it is an influence, you can kind of see where they're drawing from it, and it's pretty amazing just seeing the scope of different things that the show has kind of played a part in and kind of putting out there. I still I honestly whenever I can watch it on Sundays when it's new and airing, I still at this point in time not even always, just kind of even having it on in the background, it's almost just become a really like familiar and comforting thing for me, just having it on there. It's just become such like a regular part of my week that
It's ubiquitous.
It really is. I can't imagine not having it around. That's why it's so. I know a lot of people don't necessarily think that it's as quality of a program as it used to be, and it may be hard to argue that it is. I still think that it's better than than a lot of animated program being put out there now, and I still love it to this day. Yeah.
So I guess I'm kind of unique because I've literally been watching The Simpsons my entire life. I was born in 1990, and my dad watched the first season in 1989. So I have been watching The Simpsons my entire life, even before I was really conscious of watching it, just because my dad was a fan. And I have not stopped. I have watched every single episode of The Simpsons.
Show off.
At least once. even the bad years. I kept up on it. You know, it's always been part of my Sunday ritual. Except until recently when I became an adult. And, you know, I have responsibilities. But I always try and catch the episode on demand. Or, you know, watch it later in the week. Because I'm not, you know, rich enough to afford it, DVR. But yeah, it's been a major influence in my life, you know. I quote The Simpsons daily. It's been, you know, a major part of my humor. I've gotten lots of friends out of it. I mean, if you can walk into a party and just yell, dental plan, and somebody responds, you know that fucking person's cool. Dental plan. Dental plan. So yeah, I just love it. You know, I will never stop watching The Simpsons. You know, no matter how bad it gets. I've survived, you know, murderous elf jockeys and
Dude, I love that episode.
Homer blaming Marge for a DUI. I've suffered through all the worst shit. I am the diehard of diehard Simpsons fans.
Everything's bad if you remember it, Marvin.
So I just love it. It's my favorite show ever. You know, I can honestly say it's been part of my life for the entirety of my life.
Oh yeah. I've also been watching The Simpsons for my whole life, except for the last probably like 5 years. Whereas I didn't have cable, and I got into a lot of other shows and forms of media. So I'm a lot like Kevin in this respect, where you know, I watched a lot of the Golden Age Simpsons and some of the newer stuff. Yeah, I've kind of dropped off as far as The Simpsons goes.
I don't think that's an uncommon, you know.
I mean, 30 seasons is a long time to hold on to something, you know.
I think one thing that kind of that kind of helps with like that lifelong love of the show though is it's one of those programs like I with a lot of us kind of immersing ourselves in it when we were younger. Some of kind of the funnier kind of more well hidden jokes or clever things that they do. It really takes a lot of repeat viewings to kind of pick up on everything in The Simpsons. And that's one thing that I always enjoy about programming is being able to watch something multiple times and you're constantly picking up something new or something you you may have been too young to kind of understand what was going on. And that's been a really enjoyable experience with me kind of at this point in time in my life is catching reruns and then really just shitting my pants at stuff that I wouldn't have gotten when I was like 12 years old. So
Yeah. It took me 20 years to get that dinner with Andre joke.
Was there a dinner and Andre joke? Oh wait, no, the video game.
The video game. Martin's playing My Dinner with Andre, the video game. Tell me more.
Oh my god.
Right over my head as a 10-year-old.
Oh yeah, obviously. And that's, dude, the cool thing about The Simpsons is like I feel like everyone grew up with it. So of course it's got replay value. You know, you're always going to go back and hear or see something that you completely missed.
All right. Well, time for the ultimate question. Where is Springfield?
Oh God, we're leading out with the cannonball. Jesus,
Fuck yeah, we are.
Start with the 9mm.
Well, Josh turned me on to a game theory video. I'm sorry, movie theory.
It's called Film Theory.
God damn it.
And yeah, it deals with cinema and television and how it relates to the real world. He takes all the clues that they give in the show and he narrows it down in real life to where it would be. And he narrows it down to Washington. Even though Matt Groening was from Portland, and I believe what were the conditions that it had to be next to water
in a
like
desert, mountains.
Yeah,
have a nuclear power plant nearby. Mm-hmm. The less caveat. So if you remember the episode where a bear invades Springfield.
Yes.
And then everyone has to pay a bear tax, but Homer's too busy paying the Homer tax.
Yep, exactly. So we get a quick view of Homer's paycheck, and you get to look at a state tax, and it's for $10.95. Washington's one of the few states that have a state income tax. So he surmises that it is set in somewhere southern Washington, close to Oregon, based on that tax and proximity to all the natural resources.
That's pretty interesting. I wonder if he actually, if they did it so intentionally with like all those clues, or if they just tried to like jam a bunch of shit in, because that would be kind of awesome if it was like kind of this this decades long sort of kind of scavenger hunt for fans to figure it out.
Well, I think it is, because they would always throw like weird things to throw off people who were actually looking for it. Mm-hmm. If you remember in the movie, you know, Flanders and Bart are hiking up the mountain. It says, from here you can see the 4 states that border Springfield. It's like Maine, I think Kentucky, and 2 others that aren't important.
They're just really random states.
Very random states.
Huh.
Yeah, just picked throughout the...
I see.
Just to kind of throw you off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't really bring attention to it until other people started to.
I think that's how it started.
Just kind of responding to rumors, and he's like, all right, I'm going to have a little fun with this. So.
But you got a whole writer's room of guys from Harvard.
Yeah.
These are fucking real smart people. So I think initially it was just kind of like a whatever, it's every town USA. People kept asking, oh, where's Springfield? They kind of like started like,
they're like, motherfucker, that's not the point. It's suburbia.
Exactly.
But then they're like, no, we want to know. And like, okay, well, we will figure some shit out. You're going to have to dig deep.
So the writers were egged on and to creating this elaborate sort of map scheme as far as leading people to the sort of treasure of where Springfield is actually located.
Basically, I don't know if they're egged on or if they just like fucking with people.
Yeah.
So that kind of brings us to my next point, The Simpsons are supposed to be, the simple American family from Everytown, USA. And I kind of wanted to discuss how they did subvert the sitcom genre and just kind of like the whole American psyche, I guess, of just looking at, that family where the husband works, the wife stays at home, the 2.5 children, and just kind of like that whole subversion of that whole idea.
I'm going to be very honest. I don't think they did. I think they just owned it. Is a lot of sitcoms, like, it's set up that way and it seems so tropey because they don't own it at all. Like, they don't do anything with it. Like, instead of those shows making it be a thing that matters, they don't. So it becomes a trope that, oh no, 2.5 kids. Like, here we go again. That's why it worked. Is they didn't subvert it so much as they just owned it and made it a thing.
Yeah, they owned it and they made it real. I think a lot of people can relate to The Simpsons, of like, you know, the kids hugging the TV.
Yeah.
And Homer yelling from upstairs, "You better not be hugging that TV!" Because I was raised on TV. That was my babysitter for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And look at me now. I host a podcast in a bedroom.
We have candles.
I love the
pod
epitome
candle.
of one. The epitome of one for me too was when Homer and Marge were going to parent-teacher conferences, and he turns back to the kids and says, "Depending on if you've been bad or good, will depend on what you get for dinner. If you're good, pizza. If you're bad, poison. What if one of us is good and one of us is bad? Poison pizza. No, I'm not making 2 stops."
I'm not making 2 stops.
Definitely, I agree with what Zach and Kevin are saying, and I think people did sort of want to put on them more than they actually were, that they were kind of subverting what like a normal family was. But I think probably The Simpsons were more normal than what any other program was, despite it being sort of a fictionalized cartoon with a lot of like exaggerated storylines and things like that. It was kind of they were kind of the typical quintessential American family. And I can't remember who explained this to me when I was younger, but they were talking about how a lot of people sort of there was a point in time where The Simpsons were sort of controversial, or were maybe doing things that maybe deemed inappropriate by others. And really, they were kind of presenting what sort of the American family that a lot of these people that were criticizing it or felt that it was too sort of out there actually wanted to see in a family. It's 2 parents together, not separated, not divorced. They spend a lot of time with their kids. They have dinner together every night. They go to church every Sunday. Sort of like all of these like really typical things that people wanted to see out of a quote unquote perfect American family. They actually were doing, and they maybe weren't quite as bad or weird or strange as people wanted to make them seem. They really just kind of were, though exaggerated, kind of just showing that despite having kind of meeting what would be the kind of the criteria of a perfect family, everyone kind of has these weird sort of eccentric behaviors or sort of kind of fucked up things going on. And they, like Kevin was saying, they just sort of owned it. They steered into the skid.
Yeah.
I find that with shows that steer into skids, like, it tends to be a lot better than if you try and subvert it, if you try and make it not a thing. And like it's clearly a thing. Why are you trying to cover it up?
Yeah.
It's like trying to cover up that the dog shit on the floor by smelling or shooting Febreze at it. Like, yeah, it'll work for a hot minute. Then it won't matter.
Well, and to kind of bring it back to what Andy was saying, I think The Simpsons were a lot like a lot of families in the 90s. And a lot of the older generation just didn't understand that. I mean, we brought up 2 Bad Neighbors before. And what brought about that episode was George Bush was making a speech. And, he said to people, "We gotta stop being like the Simpsons and be more like the Waltons." He said that in the actual speech.
No shit.
Yes. Whereas, like, it was the feud between the new generation and the old generation.
Yeah. Very much so.
which is why it kind of got a lot of flack starting out for being a controversial show.
Why would anyone want to be like the fucking Waltons? Like, what?
Right?
Why is that some sort of like fucking American dream?
You know that dad was probably molesting somebody.
Well, I mean, I wasn't gonna go that far. I mean, he was probably marrying off his kids at a very young age, which was probably weird. But I don't know. That took the wind out of my sails pretty hard. No, but it's just like just so removed from reality to say something like that. Like you had already had like all these like weird fucked up families put in there. Like you had had All in the Family already. You had had like sort of like these weird shows kind of showing what would be like a typical American family. Like why would like some weird like early 20th century family be your go-to?
Applicable to the modern, early 90s families.
Yeah. And they were molesting everyone.
Naturally.
Good save. Good save.
Did I tie it together? Did I put a bow on it, guys?
I think you did.
I think you did. Here's a question that I wanted to propose as well. Is what is everyone's favorite character from The Simpsons? Or like one that really, really stands out to you? Because they've had so many characters.
Are we talking outside the main family? Like
Yeah,
side
let's say
characters?
outside of the main family.
Okay.
Let's say outside of the main family to make it more interesting.
Troy McClure, undoubtedly.
Yeah.
Pick.
I mean,
That's a good pick.
anything Phil Hartman did was just unbelievably great. That guy was just they really did a great job just letting him do a bunch of weird shit on that show. But Troy
Oh, he's
McClure,
a genius.
and it's just such a well written weird character. Yeah, just great.
I'd have to probably say Mo.
Mo's a great
Yeah.
one.
I love Mo. He's
Oh, that's a
gotten
good one.
a little rapey in the newer seasons.
Really?
That's not even me making a joke.
Oh, that's-
No, yeah.
Like he's gotten a little, kind of skeevy.
So keep in mind, I've only seen really the golden age ones and a few here and there. Like, choose wisely what you say about Mo being rapey. It might ruin my whole view on The Simpsons from here.
Well, they make him seem like a real kind of pervert weirdo at points.
Yeah.
Not like he has not committed a rape on the show. I will
No.
I will guarantee that.
Okay.
It's a lot of
That's good
implied
news.
things. Like they make a joke that he started his own cult and like got a harem of wives. And it's the bullies talking. And it's like, oh, I thought you were in that religion that Mo started. It just like, gets a little weird.
Are you sure he's not?
Yeah.
They weren't mistaking it for the Stonecutters.
I think my favorite is Mr. Burns.
Ooh, yeah, good pick.
I love Mr. Burns and just the ridiculous shit that he says. Just the most ridiculous thing.
Ahoy, hoy.
He has my favorite quote of all time from The Simpsons, which is finally the rich white man is in charge. It's so good.
Well, I think it's really cool, like how all the characters we brought up have evolved so much since their beginning. You know,
they
Flanders started out as, the good-hearted neighbor, into the evangelical Christian. Mo was a crusty bartender, and now he's like kind of just a town weirdo. Mr. Burns was just like a cartoonishly evil guy, and now he's like, I don't even know how you would describe him. Even more cartoonishly evil.
Yeah, I think he's gone overboard now.
Yeah.
Like he was grounded in reality at first, and then he's just slowly slipped into insanity.
Much like most of the show.
Everything great goes into insanity at some point.
Well, when you've been on for almost 3 decades.
Well, you either die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain. Just talk to Hulk Hogan.
Aw, sad.
But I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Walter.
Hulk Hogan, Florida garbage.
I think you could take the Hulk Hogan out of that and it would still make a lot of sense. Just say Florida garbage.
Am I like the only one that's like sad about that? Because I mean, he used to be Thunderlips, the ultimate object of desire, and that used to be like
What?
what?
Did you just call him Thunderlips?
Have you never seen Rocky 3?
Can't say I have.
Oh, you were missing out, my friend.
Totally forgot.
Clearly.
Yeah, the movie opens up with a charity fundraiser where Rocky Balboa is facing off against Hulk Hogan, and his character's name is Thunderlips, the ultimate object of desire. And yeah, like Hogan is a 7-foot tall wrestler, and you know he kicks Rocky's ass, and eventually Rocky throws him out of the ring. Those are the good times for me.
The Hulkster.
Anyway,
All right.
back to the Simpsons at hand.
Well, do you guys want to jump into some of our favorite episodes?
I think one of my favorite episodes ever is when Sideshow Bob runs for mayor.
Oh, Sideshow Roberts.
Yeah,
That's the
Sideshow
episode
Roberts.
name.
And oh man, that episode has so many good jokes. like when Bart's trying to overthrow his campaign, and Sideshow Bob's quote is, "Oh God, I gotta remember this. It's something along the lines of nobody fools with the Republican Party and lives to tell about it."
Yep.
just strong arming an 8-year-old child.
His speech at the end of the episode, Sideshow Bob's, you know, your soft heart begs you to vote liberal. In reality, you want somebody to rule you like a king.
But in reality, how did a convicted felon get so little votes compared to another convicted felon? Oh man. Yeah, but yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite. Another one of my favorite actually was in the first season, which is a weirder one to bring up, because they hadn't really caught that many strides yet, and it was oh my God, it was the one where they went camping. Call of the Simpsons.
Call of the Simpsons, yep.
Call of the
Oh.
Simpsons.
They believe
that-
Hulk to be Bigfoot.
I think that episode was one of the main ones that got me to watch a lot of the other Simpsons episodes, and like I just watched it over and over again when I was younger. It was so good.
Good pick.
And yeah, there's just so many good jokes in that one too. And then I think my last one is when Burns, I think Burns has all of his money taken and he ends up getting it all back. Or no, he's looking for the $1 million bill, or the
That was a
The
$1 trillion
super
bill, wasn't it?
Yeah,
$1 trillion, but that's what it is.
Trouble
Yeah,
with
the $1 trillion
Trillions.
bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, the $1 trillion bill.
Trouble
I really
with
enjoy that
Trillions.
episode because it features my favorite Simpsons character, just in the most ridiculous way. But yeah, I think those are my 3 easy.
My favorite all-time episode is, as I mentioned before, Two Bad Neighbors, the George Bush episode.
Oh yeah,
Just
that's a
top
good
to
one.
bottom, I think it's one of the funniest episodes. George Bush plays perfect foul to Homer and Bart, and I love the Gerald Ford cameo at the end. Do you like football? Do you like nachos? Well, why don't you come over and we'll watch some football and then have some beer. I quote that to my brother way too much. All the pranks, the rainbow wig on Bush. Goddamn.
It's got a very Dennis the Menace vibe with
Very
George
much so.
Bush. Yeah.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Bush.
Do you guys remember, like, at the beginning of that episode where they're doing the
It's
town's
a-
having like a bunch of garage sale?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's the Table 5 song.
yeah, Table 5.
Yeah,
First introduction of Disco Stew.
yeah.
Was that the first one?
Yep, that's the first time he appeared. If I had to pick a most heartfelt episode, which The Simpsons is also very good at,
Oh yeah.
which we didn't talk about, there's a lot of heart in the show, especially in
yeah.
that golden era.
Mm-hmm.
They do so much with character development to actually make you care about the characters. That's why they can do heartfelt. That's the only reason people care about heartfelt episodes. Because if you don't care about the characters, who gives a crap what happens to them?
Exactly.
There's so many shows that don't know how to do that.
Yeah. And they were really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Emphasis on were. But my two favorite episodes, two very heartfelt episodes, are Lisa's Substitute. I cry every time at that ending with Mr. Bergstrom, where Lisa gets a substitute teacher that
Dustin
actually gives a
Hoffman.
shit about her. Yeah, Dustin Hoffman. And at the end of the episode, he has to leave to his next assignment. And, Lisa chases after his train, and he gives her a note, and it just says, "You are Lisa Simpson."
Oh, I remember that one. Yeah.
And I cry every time.
Oh.
Every time.
Another one from season 3 that's really good at the emotion is I Married Marge. I think
Oh,
that one
yeah,
was
it's a
also
great
really,
episode.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah, where it tells Homer and Marge's meeting story.
Right.
And then my other favorite heartfelt episode is Maggie Makes 3, where they tell the story of how Maggie was born. Homer gets he finally quits his job at the nuclear power plant and gets his dream job at the Bolorama and has to quit and go crawling back on his knees. And this is the famous "Do It for Her,"
Right.
where
Yeah.
Burns puts up the sign that says, "Remember, you're here forever." And he plasters all the pictures of Maggie. So it just says, "Do it for her." Hits me right here.
Yeah.
Another one that makes me cry.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed to say it.
Yeah.
No, it's if you're not crying, you're doing something wrong.
Right.
Sorry, I cried to a music video last night.
There you go.
So, we all got our things.
How many Godsmack
Were you-
music videos were you watching?
Huh?
It was the video for Straight Out of Line by Godsmack.
No, it was I Stand Alone.
Stand alone.
I stand alone.
You're right. I do stand alone.
It was
Mummy
the
2
video.
Bloodsport.
It was the video from Molly by Lil Dicky. Very.
I don't know what that is, but I'm just gonna go on saying that if there's anything new metal has taught me, it's that I think that everyone who listens to it is very sad all the time.
They're very sad people.
Yeah.
My Skype blanked out in that whole thing after you said, if listening to new metal has taught me anything. And then it was just dead air until moving on.
That's a metaphor, dude. It's symbolism.
Your Skype has firewalls to protect you against Skype.
It just started saying corn alert, corn alert, corn alert.
Corn. Just random sounds. all of our voices just all over the place.
Now, the sounds of a white man scatting.
Go!
I'm the scat man.
You can cut all this. Is there anybody else that has to go for their favorite episodes?
So, one of my favorite episodes ever. So, it's the episode where Shelbyville steals Springfield's lemon tree. And there's a huge rivalry between Shelbyville and Springfield, obviously. Yeah, they team up with Nelson and Martin to take back the lemon tree. The parents get word of it, and Homer borrows Flanders' RV, but the RV keeps dying because Homer keeps wanting to roast ham in his expensive RV. And I really think, that episode, front to back, is really, really good.
Shake harder, boy!
Yeah, they Shelbyville seems like such a shanty town compared to Springfield, where in the end they're talking about how they didn't need lemons and all they had were turnips or something like
turnips.
that. And they're squeezing turnip juice and
We didn't want the lemon tree because it was haunted.
Yep, exactly. One of my favorite parts is Bart is learning a lesson in Roman numerals in the beginning of the episode, and
Yes.
they allude to that later on where the Shelbyville kids catch up to him. They find out their identity, and Bart gets trapped in a lion's cage or something like that. But they're all numbered in Roman numerals, and he has to get out. And the only exit was number 7. And the only way he could remember Roman numerals was through the Rocky series. So he's just okay, Rocky 5 plus Rocky 2 equals Rocky 7. Adrian's Revenge! So that was one of my favorite ones. It just goes into depth about how like Shelbyville is fucking weird and how like
It's great at the world building.
it is because
Yeah.
they had these two founders, and one of them founded Springfield, the other one founded Shelbyville, and
They could marry their attractive cousins.
only because of that. Yeah, and it was ridiculous. The second one I've got that I really really love, Homer's Enemy, which is the episode with Frank Grimes.
Grimy.
Oh my god.
Yep, grimy.
Grimy. Forgot about that episode.
I just want to hear what you guys think about that episode.
Well, a
first
lot of
before I
people
go.
So good.
consider that the turning point in the series because it's a very dark episode.
It is.
Personally, it's one of my favorites.
No.
You know, it's one of those things you either love it or hate it. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Fucking love Grimy. It's the if you took somebody from the real world and inserted them into the Simpsons universe, and they had to deal with Homer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he drives himself. Spoiler alert, to kill himself eventually.
Yeah, it took a very dark turn in the end, but the whole fact that it took the Simpsons kind of took a back seat while Frank Grimes was sitting there criticizing everything and speculating and just making a point of, wow, what the fuck is wrong with you? How are
Yeah.
you alive? You know, it's kind of crazy. And one of the things I learned about this that really brings this character to light for me is that he was based originally on Michael Douglas's character from Falling Down, which
Really?
yeah, I don't know. Have you guys seen that movie? Basically,
I've
like
not.
perturbed, office worker, just keeps having these really bad days. The movie starts where he's stuck in traffic, and then all of a sudden he's trying to just get home. He's stuck in a convenience store. He just fucking loses it. Let's see, what is he? He sets off a fucking RPG.
Yeah.
Yeah, and little black kid shows him how to do it. He's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
oh, I've seen this in a movie, and he just pulls it out, and he's just like, okay, kid, like, how do you do this? I just want to use this for later, and he sets it off, and
Yeah, blows himself
it's
up.
a very tragic story. Like, it follows Frank Grimes like pretty much to the T. Like, you know,
But yeah, the great quote from that episode is Homer invites Frank Grimes over to kind of repair their friendship. And he's just showing him all these awards, and just like random shit, and just
Him
Grimy
going
just
into
says,
space.
"Yeah, you went into outer space. You, sure, you've never been. Want to see my Grammy?
on a lighter note, one of the other ones I wrote down here, Homer at the Bat.
Great.
The softball episode. Homer joins the nuclear power plant softball team, but Mr. Burns makes a bet with the Shelbyville power plant team.
Played
for
like John Lovitz.
Yep, and he makes a bet for $1 million. So of course he cuts everyone from his team, hires professional MLB players:
Roger Clemens,
Steve Sachs,
Jose
Canseco, Sosa. Like, they're all there. But throughout the episode, they all get into these like
shenanigans.
Yeah, they keep getting pretty much thrown off the team. You know, like Griffey gets gigantism from
Nerve tonic.
Nerve tonic. Clemens gets hypnotized to act like a chicken. Steve Sachs is arrested for an unsolved crime in New York from many years ago. Sammy Sosa gets radiation poisoning. Ozzie Smith disappears into the Springfield mystery spot. And and probably the funniest of all, Don Mattingly can't play because he has sideburns. And Mr. Burns gets on him like every day. He's like, I thought I told you to shave those sideburns. He's like, dude, I don't have sideburns. I don't know what you think
You're off the
sideburns
team.
are. And of course, the only player left is Daryl Strawberry, who is Homer's rival. But Homer's like, he's got this secret weapon in that show, or in that episode, where it's this piece of wood that's been struck down by lightning called Wonder Bat. And it immediately gets pummeled. I think it's just so fucking great.
You play right field. Yeah. Are you better than me? Well, I don't know you. Yeah.
Another really great one, You Only Move Twice.
Smithers.
Yeah, Smithers gets offered a job. He doesn't want to take it because he doesn't want to leave Mr. Burns. So the offer is extended down to Homer. And so him and his family move down to Cypress Creek. And it's this like really nice suburban town. Basically, it's like owned by this corporation that he works at called Globex. Hank Scorpio is like super nice. He's like a fun runner. He's also kind of like a super villain.
James Bond villain.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Some of my favorite moments from that are, you know, the rest of the family kind of suffers because of this move. So Marge has nothing to do. So she develops a drinking problem. Bart ends up in a remedial class because he can't read cursive and is reduced to pulling out sheets of round paper because the square paper might cut you. And Elisa is allergic to everything. I love the part where Homer's got a whole team. He's in charge of people in this episode, but they're so overworked because Hank Scorpio's he doesn't know what Homer needs to do. He just is like, okay, I need you to work these guys. I need you to be in charge. But he buys them hammocks instead.
And Tom Landry's hat.
And yep. Homer sits there with Tom Landry's hat and says, "Hey, make it happen." The other one I wrote down 22 short films, series of stories about Springfield, and it's just kind of got a bunch of really random moments in it.
You picked like my favorite episodes.
Oh, did I? Okay.
That's why I keep interrupting you with quotes.
Yeah, like one of the best parts of that is where Dr. Nick performs surgery on Abraham Simpson with like nothing but like electrical wire from like a lamp or something while he's being criticized.
Golf cart battery.
Yeah, golf cart battery. And he's being criticized by the medical board, you know, because it's Dr. Nick. And I think in earlier episode, didn't he lose his like wristwatch inside someone? Yeah.
The blue thing is connected to the wristwatch.
Yeah, he's like, oh.
Whoa.
Definitely one of my favorite parts of The Simpsons in like its entirety. Just the moment where Nelson finally gets made fun of.
That's great.
Where all this shit is happening, and Nelson is just like, ha ha, just at everything. And there's like this really tall guy inside of a VW Bug who's just like strolling along, and then he gets out of his car and he's like, this is the biggest automobile that I can afford. How would you like it if someone laughed at you because of your misfortune? And then he gets like the whole town to laugh at him.
After he pantses him.
Yeah, he pantses him and he's just like, no, March. Yeah.
Blow them kisses.
Hey, it's that kid who's always laughing at everyone. But I think my absolute favorite moment from that show, or from that episode, is where Skinner invites Chalmers over for lunch for steamed clams, but accidentally burns them and burns the house. And so he runs over to Krusty Burger and grabs just a bunch of burgers, and then he presents them to Chalmers. And he's like, I thought we're having steamed clams. He's like, no, steamed hams. Steamed hams. And he's like, what is going on in your kitchen right now? He's like, that's just Aurora Borealis. Aurora Borealis. At this time of day. At this time of year. Yeah. In this area. He's like, yep. He's like,
localized entirely
within
your kitchen.
Yeah.
Yes. May I see it? No.
And his mom starts yelling about it. She's like, the house is burning down. And she's like, it's just the Northern Lights. That's probably, that I think that does it for mom.
Dude, I think you picked like the best episodes.
Okay, I thought.
Yeah.
Well,
No, you fucking nailed it.
All right.
I'm going to be able to move through mine slightly quicker because, again, my research was poor. But so I kind of.
It's basically just a running joke at this point.
Yeah. No, it's I guess you guys knew what you were getting into when you did this podcast with me. So my top 5, I actually pieced them together kind of quickly because, like, I knew I would just keep second guessing. Just because there's a shitload more that I thought of within like 5 minutes, and then also in the past couple hours since I kind of pieced the list together. Number 5, I did Homer Palooza, which
great one.
Yeah, one of the earliest episodes of The Simpsons that I can remember watching. I love the running gags with like everyone fucking with Peter Frampton. I just thought that was great. Really sticks out above everything else in that episode for me.
I love when he's stomping on the fucking pedal and he's like, do you feel? Do you feel? And then like when Sonic Youth gets into his like lunchbox, he's like, you kids get out of there.
it felt like it may have been a little bit past the point of maybe like Lollapalooza being like a huge thing, but I still like the inclusion of like seeing at that point in time like Sonic Youth represented on TV in some way, or like Smashing Pumpkins, kind of these weirder bands, and even Cypress Hill too, which was I remember loving at the time because I loved Insane in the Membrane. Number 4, I did Bart versus Australia. That is
Great one.
the earliest memory I ever have of watching The Simpsons and just cracking up as like a little kid was seeing Bart Moon, the Australian Prime Minister, with "Don't tread on me" written on his ass. And that I even to this day thinking about it, it just makes me crack up. And at that point in time, I think it just kind of sealed my fate, and I knew like I'm gonna be into this show for a very long time. It just hit all the right spots for me. And that was another episode that, kind of going back and watching it, a lot of it didn't register with me at that point in time, like kind of the humor, and definitely
Sure,
an
went
episode
straight
that's-
over your head.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's grown on me and grown with me, I should say. I guess. I've been able to kind of figure out what the hell is going on outside of just Bart mooning the Prime Minister. And then
I'm more impressed you were able to write on your own butt.
Number 3, I did a fish called Selma.
Troy
probably
McClure.
my favorite Troy McClure episode. Just so much weird shit going on in between the marriage of convenience with Selma and then Troy McClure's weird sex fetish with aquatic animals. Just really took that character into like a new weird direction, but
Yeah.
God, is that a great episode.
Did you ever notice the bumper sticker on Troy McClure's car?
No.
It says "Follow me to the Springfield Aquarium."
A nice hidden gem amidst that episode.
Exactly.
Oh.
Well, that's what the Simpsons were so good at.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that one was also one that took me many years of watching The Simpsons and
Right.
just maturity to figure out what the hell was going on.
Oh yeah, watching it as a 10-year-old, you don't quite understand the Troy McClure's weird sexual things.
Yeah, that one kind of flies right over the old head at that point. Oh, number 2, I did Homer's Phobia, which featuring the great John Waters again.
Great
Another
episode.
person that didn't know who the hell he was. Just so many great parts in this episode with kind of in the midst of Homer's gay panic when he finds out that John's gay, and then him fearing that Bart's going to become gay as a result, and then him taking him to the steel mill, and it turns out to be a gay steel mill.
We work hard.
We
We play hard.
Zap,
Zap. Zap.
That's such a good episode.
What a good episode that is.
him parking Bart in front of the cigarette billboard and saying, "What do you want, boy?" "Oh, I want a cigarette." "Great. What kind do you want?" "I don't know. Anything slim." So wonderful. And really kind of, I mean, for airing in 1997, fairly progressive and accepting kind of message that they were putting out there at that point. So
Well, they won a
Also-
GLAAD award for that episode.
Yeah,
No shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
I did-
That's awesome.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of one of those early episodes that kind of shows that they did have kind of this really wonderful political bent to them that may not have always been as apparent. I guess definitely in the episode that you were talking about, Zach, with George Bush as the neighbor though too.
Yeah.
But this one definitely had a kind of a maybe an even less popular opinion at that point in time, but definitely goes.
Well, what
to
I like
kind
about the show
of the show had.
is they don't beat you over the head with it. Like with the George Bush episode, they really didn't
Yeah.
talk about like politics. He's just like
Yeah.
a grumpy old man.
Mm.
Yeah,
And with the Homer's Phobia, like they didn't really they didn't go over the top with it. I think they echoed a lot of the thoughts of heterosexual America at that time. So
No,
I think
yeah,
they've just been
absolutely.
very good at like towing that line.
Yeah, and kind of it always seems like there is kind of like that, like there is sort of a moral to the story, like kind of thing at the end of every episode, but it's kind of it always is just like simply just like don't be a fucking asshole to everyone around you. Just be,
Basically.
just be like a good person. Like and then I think this one definitely showed it in a very cool, interesting way. And then number one for me, and kind of far and above everything else, this episode has stuck with me since the first time I ever saw it. Homer versus the 18th Amendment, where
Oh yeah.
Oh,
prohibition is
great.
reinstated and
Rex Banner.
Springfield. Yeah. Oh my God. Um, just the whole thing, like where he has kind of the basement distillery operation going on, and him and Bart don't know what the fuck they're doing, so they're kind of there's like huge explosions going on in the basement, and
Must
then
have been that
Homer's
bean I had.
he's trying to pass it off as gas. Ooh, kablammy! Ooh, sorry about that. Like,
Well, it also
There's
gives us the
also-
greatest Simpsons quote ever. To alcohol,
yes,
the cause of, and solution to, all of life's problems.
Oh, life's problems.
a close second as far as quotes for me from that episode is Kent Brockman saying Patrick's Day Parade where everyone's welcome except for the gays and the Italians.
What are you looking at?
So subtly weird. But yeah, just just a great episode. Yeah,
Great picks all around. Everyone.
Mhm.
I think we filled in like a lot of the gaps of like the greatest Simpsons episodes.
a pat on the back for everyone.
Yeah. And of course, we were able to put in so many quotes too.
Yeah.
Those important quotes.
No Simpsons discussion is complete without it.
Yeah, it sure
I was
isn't.
also gonna say no Simpsons discussion is ever concise. This is gonna
No,
be a long
also
fucking
true.
episode.
It's a little jumpy around.
Yeah.
I think it'll work.
Well, that it's kind of one of those shows where you just have all of those episodes built up in your head, and like one little small detail reminds you of another small detail from another episode 4
Yeah.
seasons later or before or something like that. So
Yeah.
No, exactly.
I'm really surprised nobody picked the Treehouse of Horror. I was really close to picking my last one as
Yeah,
a
we didn't even
Treehouse.
talk about that.
Yeah.
Well, there's just so much fucking content.
I was gonna say
with the
number
Simpsons.
5 was probably gonna be mine, but
Mine too.
that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can cover that in another episode.
Yeah.
The thing I like the Treehouse of Horrors, but there's always like one story in it that doesn't grab me, so I can't pick
Yeah.
one episode that I think that stands out to me. There are shorts in those that are amazing, but I don't
course.
think
yeah.
there's one. I don't think there's one episode with the 3 stories that they do that I could really point to and go, all right, all 3 of those were phenomenal.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, save it for a future episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody else have anything to add to our discussion on The Simpsons? I think we did a pretty concise job as we could with 26 fucking years of content to go
Yeah.
through.
With
Yeah.
so much
Yeah, this-
content.
Well, on that note, I think that'll do it for Drinks on the House tonight. My name is Zach Kowalski. You can follow me on Twitter at Zach Kowalski. And be sure to follow Drinks on the House on YouTube and subscribe to our videos.
Also, likes and shares are nice too. Thumbs
Yeah.
up. Yeah. And of course, follow the Twitter account as well. I usually put out all the new videos when they come out on the Twitter.
Kevin's our social media guru.
Yeah, I do my best. I do my best. And then you can also follow me at Last Vindicator on Twitter as well. I also run a game streaming channel called Drinking Buddies. It's a channel Last Vindicator on Twitch.
I'm
Andy's
Andy.
still a ghost.
Yeah, still off the grid. Do what Kevin and Zach said and follow them and all the stuff about our podcast. That's
Good.
that'd be good.
Yeah.
You
That
you
one.
go ahead and do that.
That one,
So-
please.
Yeah.
So this week I decided to actually plug myself. I do have a YouTube channel where I've posted things. I haven't posted anything in a while. But if you guys want to look up some of my music shit, look up Semper Lo-Fi on YouTube. SEMPERLOFI. LOFI. It's kind of a nod to like the last band I had. We were called the fucking Noise Marines, and our tagline was Semper Lo-Fi, which is
That's an awesome name, by the way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. But on there you can find various music dabblings. Yep.
Of our super producer.
Stupid sexy Josh.
It's not bad.
I wish I cared about shit like that. Actually, you know what? No. Follow me at Stupid Sexy Josh at YouTube. I'm changing it as we speak.
Smart.
I can attest he is doing it right now.
Stupid Sexy Josh. I'm making this shit happen.
All right, for all of us at Drinks on the House, thanks for listening. Cheers.
Well, Mr. Burns had done it. The power plant had won it, with Roger Clemens clucking all the while. Mike Socha's tragic illness made us smile, while Wade Boggs lay unconscious on the barroom tile.